ever since the official Switch 2 reveal, Nintendo has been getting wrecked across the internet. People are upset with the console's price, with the game prices, and just the way that they've handled the situation because they haven't been very transparent. But now they are getting slammed once again for a $90 Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild re-release price on the Switch 2. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I, like many other people, absolutely love Nintendo. They have so many good IPs and characters and storylines and worlds, and I want them to thrive like I want most companies to thrive because I want to keep seeing stories that they have to tell release. But on the flip side, enough is enough, okay? People are not going to pay $90 for a re-release on a Switch 2 just because you tell them to. The only people who would are the people who didn't have a Switch 1, who haven't played the experience and want to actually try it out. But everybody else is looking at this and pointing and laughing. Now, that was already happening with Nintendo because they did not have basic prices across the board, right? We heard that Donkey Kong Bonanza was going to be $70. We heard that Mario Kart World was going to be $80. And we also heard a rumor that physical versions of games were going to be 90, which sounded crazy, but not that far-fetched because companies really do want to push towards that all-digital future we're inevitably going to hit one day, though now Nintendo is facing another wave of backlash after confirming that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, will not include the game's post-launch DLC, despite carrying a $70 price tag for an 8-year-old game, and players who want the full experience of the 2017 classic on the upcoming Switch 2 console will need to fork over another $20 for the expansion pass, bringing the total cost to $90. It's not like it was a game that released on the Switch 1 a year ago, and within 12 months, the Switch 2 is coming out, so they're putting that out. We're not talking about a situation like that, even though, in my opinion, they still should, for that, give you all the content, but they want you to pay $90 for the Switch 2 edition. Now, I've already played Breath of the Wild. I already own it, and I would not rebuy it on this console for $90 just because, oh, it might be a little bit more enhanced, because it might look a little bit better or run a tiny bit better. Sure, if you are somebody who has never played it before, you might think to yourself, well, at least it's only $70. I don't necessarily need the $20 expansion pass. But at the end of the day, they should be giving you all of the content for a game that is 8 years old. It says the confirmation came via a statement to IGN in which Nintendo clarified The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition does not include The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild expansion pass DLC that is available as a separate purchase. Now, this, of course, is just one of the many problems that Nintendo is facing right now, because we know that the pre-orders in the United States and Canada are currently delayed. We do not know when they are going to open up. Rumor has it around May 8th to May 10th, which wouldn't be so far-fetched because that's still about a month from release, though we haven't gotten any information on that. And then, of course, when the prices were initially announced, a lot of people thought that those were hiked up because of the tariffs, and then Nintendo said, oh no, that's not the case now. I don't think that this is going to still release at $450. I think Nintendo will see the kind of tariff situation as an excuse to release the console at a higher price, because it is easier to lower the price of a product than raise the price of the product. And we know at this point in time, with all of the pauses, they're not facing any reciprocal tariffs. And with the digital stuff, they never were anyway. I mean, this had just happened. Smartphone and computers are now exempt from Trump's latest tariffs, and that just includes, like, technology in general, right? And so this is important to point out because Nintendo does primarily manufacture their products in Vietnam now, but just a couple of years ago, they actually moved out kind of China to Vietnam, so they did not have to face tariffs. And well, unfortunately, the economic state of the world right now is in a bit of shambles. There's a lot of questions. I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to sit here and get into every little detail, right? But Nintendo, at this point in time, is not really giving us a lot of information, probably because they just don't have a lot of info either. No deals have been announced. And while tariffs are paused on places like Vietnam for 90 days, I'm sure that they are probably going to come to some kind of agreement, some kind of deal. Trump clearly has some like big plan in place. Again, I'm not an economist. I can just see that it's clear as day that people are not happy. And well, they don't really have that excuse to use anymore. And when they initially had announced that Mario Kart World was going to be $80, I think that we all unfortunately knew that something like that was coming. We all thought that Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to be the first $100 standard edition game. And well, Nintendo kind of beat them to that 80 versus 100. There's still a bit of a difference there, but it was clear as day that a company was going to come along and start kind of raising the standard price. And Nintendo, of course, is saying that, oh, Mario Kart World is just one game that's 80. Not all of our games are going to be 80. Like, look at Donkey Kong, that's only 70. But when one company makes a move, the rest of the companies follow. And for years, companies have been trying to find ways to raise the prices of their games. Just a couple years ago, we went from 60 to 70. Now we'll see from 70 to 80. And if GTA 6 comes out and it is $100, I think that companies like Ubisoft will also follow. I don't think every company will. I think many will still kind of hang back at an $80 price tag, but Nintendo is very clearly making the move to charge you as much money as possible. And this is just another example of how it's an 8-year-old game and they're only giving you the base edition for a $70 price tag, and then you also have to spend 20 extra dollars for the extra content that they release. It's very reminiscent of what Don Matrick had said back in 2013 regarding the Xbox One and the 360. He basically said, well, it's a premium product. That's what Nintendo is saying now. He said, we have a console for those that don't want to always be online. It's called Xbox 360, which was just a very, in my opinion, out of touch comment to make. A lot of gamers clearly agreed, but that's why Nintendo right now is acknowledging that the Switch 2 price may be out of reach for some, but they are reaffirming the Switch 1 support, that they are not abandoning it. They have long-term hardware strategies, and they basically just want as many people to buy their consoles as possible, so they're going to leave Switch 1s on the market until probably in like 2 years when they actually release a Nintendo Switch 2 with an OLED screen, and then it's like $100 more. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they'll end up doing that, and then they'll slowly start to phase out these Switch ones. But as of this point in time, they're not planning on doing that. Bowser had acknowledged the affordability is on Nintendo's radar. We recognize that there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2 price point, he said. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platforms available so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, be a part of these characters in these worlds, and see value, if you will, in whatever rung on the platform they come in. So there's just a lot of people upset right now with Nintendo and just kind of the state of the gaming industry in general, because we know that other companies will jump on a $80 or $90 or even $100 price point jump. So I'll be keeping my eye on this, though at this point in time, things are not looking particularly positive for them. And we're finding out that, yes, the old editions of these games will not even include DLCs when you go to buy them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.